What if I told you that the most powerful pest control system in the world isn't sitting on a shelf at your garden center? It's already growing in the ground, before pesticides existed, before chemical companies told us we needed their products to grow food, before every garden problem had a product attached to it. Farmers figured this out. They didn't use sprays, they used plants. And the specific plants they chose weren't random. They were selected over hundreds of years of careful observation, passed down through generations. Today, these methods are confirmed by modern science. They use specific plants chosen through hundreds of years of observation, passed down for a reason. If you grow your own food, if you're building towards self-sufficiency, if you believe a garden should work with nature instead of against it, this channel was built for you. Hit subscribe and the bell right now. Every week we go deep on what actually works in the real garden. Today I'm giving you 7 plants, ranked from powerful to genuinely extraordinary, used by traditional growers across Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas. Each one has a specific documented mechanism of action, not vague deterrents, actual biological chemistry that interrupts, repels, traps, or kills garden pests. No synthetic spray can fully replicate this. Most are edible, beautiful, or medicinal. Stick with me to number 5. It stopped researchers in their tracks. And number 6? Most people rip this one out of their garden without knowing what they're destroying. Let's begin the breakdown. Number 1, Marigolds. And before you scroll past thinking you already know this one, stay with me, because the truth is very different. What most people think marigolds do and what they actually do are completely different things. They weren't planted just for decoration. Growers in Mexico, India, and the Mediterranean have used marigolds for centuries. They produce a compound in their roots called alpha-terthienol. When it enters the soil, it is directly toxic to root knot nematodes, the microscopic worms that quietly destroy tomato, pepper, and cucumber roots from underneath. They kill the pests you can't even see. Above ground, the sulfur-containing volatile oils in the flowers confuse and repel whiteflies, aphids, and thrips simultaneously. Research from the University of Exeter confirmed that French marigolds specifically reduced whitefly numbers on nearby tomatoes by up to 67% over a full season. That is not a vague number. That is a controlled study with measurable results. Practical use: plant French marigolds in dense rows at the border of your beds. Space them 8 inches apart. For nematode control, plant them a full season before your crops and let those root compounds build in the soil. Number 2, basil. You probably already grow it. The question is, where? If your basil is in the kitchen and your tomatoes are outside alone, you're missing one of the most productive plant partnerships in all of companion planting. Basil produces a volatile compound called estragol. Along with linalool and eugenol, these compounds release continuously from the leaves, especially when temperatures rise in the afternoon heat. Thrips, aphids, and tomato hornworm moths find those signals completely disrupted. They use smell to locate hosts, but basil leaves them blind. They can't lock in on your tomatoes. University of Florida trials showed that tomatoes intercropped with basil experienced significantly fewer thrips infestations, and basil simultaneously attracts hoverflies, whose larvae eat aphids by the hundreds. Practical use: plant 1 basil for every 2 tomato plants. Keep the leaves close enough to touch. Pinch the flowers to keep volatile oil production at peak intensity. This is pest control you can eat. Number 3, lavender. 2,500 years of deliberate use. The Romans carried it everywhere, not just for the scent, but to keep fleas, moths, and mosquitoes away. They weren't working from a textbook. They were working from reality. They observed that it kept pests at bay, generation after generation. Here's what makes lavender strategic. Linalool and linalool acetate, lavender's primary compounds, are powerful deterrents for fleas, moths, and whiteflies. But the flowers simultaneously attract bees, lacewings, and parasitic wasps, the insects that actively hunt aphids, caterpillar eggs, and scale insects. You're not just keeping the harmful insects out. You're building a standing army of beneficial insects that handles what slips through. It's a strategic perimeter. Practical use: plant lavender at corners and borders of raised beds. It thrives in well-drained, slightly alkaline soil and full sun. Don't overwater it. Stressed lavender actually releases more volatile compounds. Dry bundles stored with your seeds will keep moths and weevils away all season. Number 4, Nasturtiums. And this one works differently, because its power isn't in repelling pests, it's in attracting them deliberately. This is called a trap crop strategy, and it is one of the most elegant solutions in natural gardening. Aphids are powerfully attracted to them. They are more attracted to nasturtiums than most vegetable crops. When planted at the perimeter, aphids flock to them and leave your kale alone. Once concentrated on the nasturtiums, you remove those specific stems, compost them away, and the nasturtiums regrow. Your brassicas never take the hit. This approach has been used for decades under the name sacrificial trap cropping. The farmers who figured it out weren't entomologists. They just watched. Practical use. Plant nasturtiums in dense clusters, about 3 plants per 4 feet of bed edge. Monitor weekly and remove the aphid-heavy growth. Number 5. Lemongrass, and this is the one that stopped researchers. Farmers in Southeast Asia have intercropped this for over 300 years. Western gardeners mostly think of it as culinary. That is a massive underestimation. Lemongrass produces citral, a compound constituting up to 85% of its oil. These compounds are so disruptive to insect sensory systems that they are used as active ingredients in commercial mosquito repellents. In the garden, it is a shield. A 2016 study confirmed that lemongrass oil caused mortality in 90% of spider mites under laboratory conditions. As a living plant, it releases this daily. 300 years of farmer knowledge, now confirmed by peer-reviewed science. Practical use. Plant in clumps at borders, particularly near whitefly trouble spots. In cooler climates, grow it in large containers and move indoors before frost. Crush a few leaves periodically to increase volatile oil release near vulnerable plants. Number 6. Stinging nettle. And I'll say it plainly, pulling this plant out of your garden is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. I understand grabbing the gloves, but let me show you what you're destroying. Stinging nettle is not a pest repellent. It is something smarter. It's a banker plant. It functions as a permanent reservoir for beneficial insects. Ladybirds, hoverflies, and parasitic wasps colonize nettles early in the season to build their numbers. As your vegetable crops mature and become vulnerable, they disperse outward into the rest of your garden. Already hungry, already in high numbers. It's a standing army. A 2019 study found that gardens with established nettle patches had aphid predator populations up to 80% higher. That is a transformed ecosystem. Practical use. Allow a small, contained patch of stinging nettle to grow at your garden perimeter. Use a buried edging strip to control spread. It works for you. Harvest young tops in spring for a highly nutritious tea or soup. Leave the rest to do its ecological work. It's an investment in your garden's health. Number 7. Rosemary. We're ending here for a reason. You might have it in your kitchen, but you don't fully understand what it could be doing in your garden. The answer will change how you think about perennials entirely. Rosemary produces 3 major volatile terpenes: cineol, camphor, and alpha-pinene. These are profoundly disruptive to the nervous systems of pests. Research shows rosemary-based oils reduce spider mites, aphids, and thrips significantly in trials. But as a living plant, rosemary releases those compounds continuously, passively, all season long. Cabbage moths, bean beetles, and carrot flies avoid these zones. And because rosemary is perennial, it gets more established and more powerful every single year. A plant that compounds in value the longer it stays. Practical use. Plant rosemary in permanent positions near brassica beds, bean rows, and carrot patches. In cold climates, grow it in large containers. Prune back each spring. During peak pest season, crush fresh branches and lay them around the base of your most vulnerable plants. It is a natural, aromatic barrier. If this is the kind of knowledge you're looking for, real, rooted, useful information about growing food, subscribe right now. Hit the bell. We go this deep every week. You will not want to miss what we have coming. We are building a community that grows with nature, not against it. Join the movement. What ties all 7 of these plants together is a single idea. Nature already solved the pest problem. Solutions were passed down through village memory. Modern science didn't discover these plants. It confirmed what growers already knew. Bring together the wisdom of centuries and the tools of modern research. Build a garden that doesn't just produce food. It produces its own defense, its own balance, its own ecosystem. It's time to return to the roots. The growers who built gardens this way weren't doing it by accident. They They were paying attention, passing it down, and trusting the plants. And now, so are you. Before you go, I want to know where you're starting. Are you Team Marigold, Team Nettle, or Team Rosemary? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. If this video gave you something real, a strategy or a reason to look at your garden differently, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell, and come back next week. We go this deep every single week. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Happy growing, and we'll see you in the next discovery.